welcome. We have our very last strap and block class for June. I'm just prepping my little strap, ready for, that's where we'll start with strap work. There might be a little bit of integrated strap and block, and then there'll be full block, some block work. So if you haven't got your strap already, just that little small version. I thought what we'd do tonight is also take ourselves back to the very start of our practice in strap work week 1, which is usually the unwinding of the legs, because it's such a popular stretch and everyone loves it. It's simple, we won't do all of them, but it is a really nice way to get those hamstrings and the glutes and the adductors nicely stretched. And I've got 1 or 2 new little ones, some standing ones, and I also have gone back and revisited some of the older ones that I know are really beneficial, where the strap and the block were really helpful. I can see a few of you all are jumping on board, so that's awesome. Hi to you all on a cold winter's Wednesday night. Let's start with a little bit of breath work, and then we'll be good to head down into the mat. If you want to lie and do this, you know you're most welcome to. As we just take a moment to connect into the breath here. The lovely thing about starting class with your breathing is that it's this whole idea of the body and the mind being very much related and interconnected. If we let the breath become slow and steady here, it's almost like it's being automatically threaded through our body and embedded into our mind. This is the breathing that we're looking for all through class. So that breath is slow, it's smooth, it's steady, and comes in through the nose and out through the nose. Perhaps we can use this opportunity to draw out and to lengthen the breath, extend the breath end. Keep the breath so that it is extended. It's not short or shallow. It's not in this upper half of the lungs. So in this sort of, into the chest. It's not like we're breathing up into the chest. We're breathing right down low into the rib cage, and that's why we say it's like it's belly breathing. It allows this belly to rise and fall. So it's slow and it's steady, and it's a full, complete breath. And in saying that, it's a full, complete exhale. We're aware here that the breath just doesn't do this little puff going out, but we release all of the breath to the last drop. And mindful in saying that there's no force or strain to those last moments of your breathing. Stay with that natural rhythm that comes to the breath. The breath is a little like, I sometimes describe it like a series of waves. It just sort of rolls in and stops and then rolls back out. We really want to notice that the breath is quite effortless, but there is quality to the breath. And when you're ready to start to open perhaps the eyes or wriggle fingers and toes, if you're with me sitting, then we'll find our way down to the floor and start those leg strap stretches. If you're already there, you can loop the strap over the right foot, whereby we'll go into that, so that we'll also thread it underneath the back of that right armpit. Don't worry if you've got different legs to me. Whatever the leg that you might have the strap under, over, shall I say, the strap comes up underneath the back and then it finds itself out on the other side, that free end of the strap here. And we get to settle in, and obviously we get to reconnect with the breathing, that very slow rhythm. And the breath is very crucial to stretching. It's what assists the muscles to soften and to relax. And we do know that the breath out is the breath that instigates a more softer approach to the muscles. So if we were practicing and we wanted to go, say, deeper into a pose or deeper into a twist, we'd use the breath out because the muscles are softer then and they're going to be more willing to allow us to explore a deeper version. Similarly here, if I wanted to work the leg closer in, I would be more inclined to choose the exhale to do that. Again, we know here, a little bit of calf stretch comes into the equation as we pull the toes down. We're also quite mindful in our strap stretches because we sit here for a while, we get sometimes a little complacent. We sort of think, oh, this is great. And before we know it, the knees has started to buckle. It's got a little bit lax here. So I do like to remind us of, I guess, the authenticity of the pose. A couple of extra cues I can give you here. Check out what's going on with the hips. Do we need to send that right bottom cheek down to the end of the mat, or do we need to square these hips up so that there is more alignment in the pelvis? Now let's keep the hip alignment. Watch that we don't hike this right hip. Just literally rotate or turn this right leg inwards. That's all I want you to do. Okay. Just a full, as much a turn as the leg is happy to take for us. Keep sending the right bottom cheek down towards the floor. Keep turning the leg in towards the left. That's all I want you to do. Often I'll ask you to bring the leg across. We're not going to do that just in this pose. Now it's radiating down this lateral side, maybe more calf driven, simply by going into internal rotation. Let the strap off just a fraction. Allow the leg to go all the way across. Okay, often I'll say to you, no, don't take it all the way across, just turn it and let's bring it in a little bit. That's because we've had the leg so tightly pulled into the body. It's a different kind of stretch. Now this is, again, glutes are more bum driven, a little bit down that leg here. And what you might want to do then once you're out here, here's where we can turn the toes down more towards the floor. It's almost like I'm going to try and tap my toes down to the floor. My right bum's reaching away. Breathe for me here. I know there's a slight temptation to want to hold that breath. Try and relax into it. The other thing that can sometimes happen in these deeper stretches is that we can forget about the breath. We can all of a sudden realize, oh, I'm holding my breath where I shouldn't be. Yes, there's that little mini hold between the inhale and the exhale, but I'm doing these little short breaths and holding it. Try and breathe your way through it. And try and soften the body on that exhale and become, shall I say, accepting of the stretch. Allow it to ease its way into the body. When you breathe in, if you need to help the strap, go for it, but it's coming back to the top. It will go laterally all the way out to the side. This is another inner leg stretch. you might need to hold on to the strap, up to you. You just don't want to, the leg doesn't go to the floor in any capacity in this one. The left leg does stay anchored down, it does stay heavy. We need to make sure that this left shoulder stays glued here to the floor. Again, it's important that we don't go with the rotate or this lateral outward roll of the leg. And the foot this time turns and rotates to the right. Okay, we know that we want to feel more emphasis on the inner groin, the inner leg, the inner thigh, and we do that by turning it more towards this leg, opening it up. When you inhale, we draw the leg back to the top. This is us done. Find the other leg, the other side. Good. We will get to flip that strap around and behind our backs. And we are ready. Round 2, left leg. We know what to do. Okay. I like to, on that first phase of the stretch, bring it over that ball of the foot, it's a good start, is to just not do any refinement, just letting the body adapt. It's more of like that adaptation stage of the stretch and letting it know, okay, we're going into a hamstring stretch, and then it says, okay, and then it knows what we're doing. And so it's not going to be hot, it's not going to hold back now. Okay, it's going to allow us to explore where it's comfortable going. That's when I start to do hip reaching down, so my left bum reaches down to the end of the mat, because initially it wants to hike up. And then I might think, all right, it's sort of happy enough with that now. I could go toes down, heel up on this next stage. I could start to invite the calf into the stretch. You might find that it's too strong, it's too painful. So you don't pull the toes down. But if we're looking at going from hip to heel in that stretch, then maybe you draw the toes down and invite the calf into the stretch as well. Oh, we'll definitely always suggest calf stretch, and we do a fair bit of that because down dog is can be very calf driven types of stretches, even though you don't realise it. Stretches such as any of the warrior, well particularly warrior 1, warrior 2, where that foot goes into the tornado, and I encourage us to get that little toe anchored down onto the floor and lift those arches. That officially is really bringing the calf into the pose as well. The calves are really important to stretch because they can lead to tight calves, can lead to obviously knee issues, but can lead to Achilles problems too, and there's nothing worse than an Achilles tendon little issue. Okay, let's keep all those parameters, but rotate the leg in towards the right, so it's going to do this little internal turn happening here. Keep sitting the left bottom cheek down towards the end of the mat, rotate the leg in towards the left, in towards the right for me here. Breathe, accept it. Ease the strap off so that the leg can fully come across body line now. We're still keeping that hip alignment, that neutrality in the hips. My left bottom cheek is still reaching down towards the floor. We have a long leg which literally comes out as an extension of the hip. We don't have to hold on necessarily. We do want those shoulders on the floor. If it feels right, we might still extend it out through the heel. Again, all very much personal. Remember this time the toes turned down to the floor. That was the internal rotation of the leg. This is what starts to bring in that conversation of all those sort of lateral leg muscles, and there's a conversation isn't so silent anymore. It's probably a little louder. More of a bit of a rumbling going on in the camp. Now, if we need to help the leg come back to the top, we certainly will. It may need, pulling in on that strap to lengthen the leg out so the strap doesn't go flimsy. The leg extends out to our left. We want to press out through the heel. We will rotate the foot down towards the floor, heavy with the back of that right thigh. Remember the foot this time, it rotates to the left, opening the leg, inner thigh, looks up towards the ceiling. Softening the body into it. We also need to be mindful in these sort of deeper stretches, and it's the same with the yin, or it's the same with any strap kind of stretches, because we sit in it for duration, that we don't try and start to hold on in other places. So all of a sudden, do I start to feel like my arms pressing down into the floor as I stay here longer, or is there a tightening up of my facial muscles as I sit here without consciously doing it, but just as we stay in it for longer and it becomes more of a conversation piece. We'll use our next breath in to assist this left leg to find its way up towards the ceiling. We will let the strap come out from underneath us and take it off the foot. Bring your knees in towards your belly. Take a little sort of hug, a tight hug of knees to chest. Again, this is just a really easy way to get into that lower back. And we will come to sitting when you're ready. You could roll over or you might rock up. We will move to head of the cow. Some might need a block or a bolster or a little pillow to sit on, or something with a gentle bit of height. Don't worry what leg you choose. Anyone will do. It sits onto the top. I think I mentioned in class this week about how, yes, the stretch, like I've got my right leg on top. Yes, the stretch is over here on this right leg, but what can often happen here is that this left leg, this underside leg, it's actually going, this hip is still getting stretched too, because this leg, you can see the inner, you might feel how your inner thigh is sort of trying to turn itself up to the roof. This leg goes, it turns outwards, as it tucks underneath. So as a result, so too as the flesh starts to want to go under here to get it out, so that we sit more evenly on the sit bones. You can just get your hand underneath your bottom and sort of pull the flesh out a little bit more, and it feels like you're not sort of so skew if you're not, all that flesh is sort of tucked underneath here on this left hand side, that the flesh is sort of spread nicely across the floor, and you don't feel so topsy-turvy in it. This is a stretch within itself, but it does come with the arm stretches that are traditional with head of the cow. I always do the same hand as the leg, just so I remember that I've done the right side. Right hand comes overhead, and the other arm comes and finds us underneath. The cue, right arm snug into the ear, elbow tip points to the roof. Other arm turns away from us, so the palm turns away, and then because the arm internally rotates, then it's with ease that it can tuck underneath. Okay. This is the bridging gap option of using a strap, but it also assists in deepening the stretch into this tricep, because as I pull on the strap with this hand, my underhand, my underside hand, so it's my left, and I pull down on the strap, it draws the forearm down the spine more. Okay. Now this is the same principle as when I say, let's say we didn't have the strap, and I say to you, grab hold of the tip of the elbow and press down on the elbow to drive the forearm down the spine. That's exactly what this is doing here. And you can notice the difference when we do that as opposed to when we have this really lackadaisy kind of hold of the strap. Much more obvious, much more significant. Release. Try it on the other side. Right, remember that flesh? It's going to be under it's going to be under my right side now. I'm going to pull it out. Feel like I'm sitting fair and square on my two sit bones. Left hand strap, right hand strap underneath, comes and finds it. It's gone pull down towards the floor, drawing the forearm and down the back more. One thing we want to be mindful of in this pose is that when it gets tough, and I can feel it even for me, it's wanting to tip my head forward and hence my body forward, not giving me the same stretch in the tricep, the back of the arm. I know for me I have to be super, super mindful of not sort of losing my spine in this. In other words, letting it bend and sort of slightly round. The more I lift through my chest and lift it up towards the ceiling, and the more, shall I say, like erect and posturally correct that I am, and the more obvious that the tricep stretch is in these arms. Alrighty, we can let it go, and we'll bring ourselves into cobblers or butterfly pose. The strap now will have to be bigger. It needs, so just pull on it. It goes overhead. It's like we're sort of threading our way through it. Again, you'll need to work out how big this little loop needs to be. As the feet come in, the loop is going to go over the feet. Okay. So over the feet, or sort of say under the feet, I should say, or under the outside edges of the feet, over the ankle joint, and it's here resting across the back of my pelvis. It's not tight enough, and it won't be because we had to get it big enough to get over our head and around our bodies. But as we start to pull on the that free end of the strap, we're now pulling the feet closer into our pelvis. We need to make sure that we're not tucking our tail on under. To me, there's a couple of ways that I remind myself of this. My hands sit behind me or to the side of me, my bum, I lift my bottom up, and then I send my bottom back, I send my tailbone back. I keep pressing my lumbar or my sacrum into the strap as I keep pushing my feet forward. This makes the strap super tight. I feel like I'm very much sitting my spine into the pelvic bowl. I'm going to weight the knees down. Then I get to breathe into it. I could let my elbows rest on it, or I could just let gravity take its toll, let gravity work them down. Butterfly or cobbler's pose is all about that hip opening, inner groin, release. As we ease out of here, we back thread. It's the only way we can make the strap bigger and to literally get out of this. And what we might do is leave this off on its own for the time being. We can keep it in its loop. We won't unloop it. But when you're ready bringing your blocks in there, you might need one or two. And this is what we call hero pose. The legs stay together, so they're not wide legs. They stay together. If you don't need one block, but you might think I need something just a little bit more, a little bit less than the one block, use a little blanket, That's fine, you may not need blocks. It will depend on how tight the quads are, the issues around perhaps the knees, the range in the ankles as well. I've got us elevated so we can take some neck stretches. So sitting on the block or a prop, chin to chest. You know the stretch we do with the strap as we bring it around behind the base of the skull and over the feet? That's the same as the one where we bring our hands and we clasp them over the base of the skull. We round the back a little bit more. We draw chin to chest. And it's as though we're pulling the tips of the elbows down here to the tops of our thighs. And then we breathe. Yeah. When we inhale, let the hands release onto your thighs. Trunk will lift up, head gets to stack here. Left ear to left shoulder, we're on the block so that we can reach this right hand down to the floor. Elevation is needed to get the space between the body's natural height and the floor. As the ear and the shoulder stay drawn closer towards one another, we'll allow the head to gently turn and rotate down as though we're looking down towards the outer edge of our left hip. Okay. It's a downward turn of the head. My right shoulder is still weighted down away from the ear to create length and space, but you might notice the change in the stretch as it radiates up now behind, say, more the back of the ear. So it's this muscle group comes from behind the back of the ear, but attaches onto the collarbone. Same stretch, but the head rotates the other way. Now I've turned my head to look down towards this outer left hip. Very gradually rotate the head back to where we started, so ear to shoulder, but then continue to rotate it on that same plane upwards towards, or rotating it around towards the ceiling. You'll feel it come right underneath this jaw line now. Pull the tip of your jaw up towards the roof. So it's right under through here, all these throat muscles. Rotate the head back down, ear to shoulder, it'll soften off. Let go of this right shoulder, ease it up, bringing the head as we return back to center. The right ear, right shoulder, left hand to the mat. Like the hamstring stretch, we have to take the opportunity to be patient and sit in this first phase, because they are quite strong neck stretches. And the neck, you can imagine how strong these neck muscles have to be to hold the weight of the head up. Okay. They work really hard, and they're always in this tense resistance mode. They're always on. There's no rest for the wicked in these guys. So they have to go, okay, we're stretching now, that's okay. We don't have to hold on to grim death here. When you feel comfortable, perhaps that head rotation, it goes down to this outer right here, very, very slowly. Because again, these guys are still trying to hold on. That's their job. Get ready as we gradually turn it the other way. So now my head, rather than rotating down to my hip, it comes back to ear to shoulder where it was before, and then it continues on the same pathway around towards the ceiling. Chin pulls up to the roof, so I'm not dropping my chin, but I'm still easing that left shoulder down. Rotate the head back to our traditional ear to shoulder. our left shoulder softens up. And when you're ready, you can come back to stack. A little bit of ease into the neck. Malasana. I know, not your favorite, but with the blocks it's a little more bearable. This is the squat. It is really good for the body to do. Even if you were to sit here with elevated heels, so let's say I couldn't get my heels to the floor and I was in this little mini squat position. There's this automatic, my heels are trying to find their way down to the floor, and that's okay, I don't want them at this point in time to go down to the floor, but what that's doing is it's giving me a really deep Achilles stretch and a really deep calf stretch into the lower, what I call the lower teardrop of the muscles called the gastrocnemius. This is one of the calf muscles. The other thing is that this is an action that we can do during the day, because how many times do you drop something on the floor, or if you're someone like me, I have a like a bottom loader washing machine. So above my washing machine I have my dryer, and then I have a bottom loading washing machine. I have to get down low to fit all the washing in. You may not, but even your cupboards, your cupboards are down low. You have to squat down. Squatting is really an action. If you think about it, something that we can have to do quite frequently. Really important to practice it. If you need more help, bring yourself into your blocks, and you can even get a little seat. It's up to you. If you don't need to, then you don't have to use one. But to take that intense edge off the squat, a little tiny prop is perfect. I always tell you of that, like this one, it's called Malasana. Though I call it the rice picker, because as many of you know, in countries like Vietnam or China, or even in Bali, they pick rice, and they squat like this all day, and then they get up and they then pick the rice with their backs. It's a really common sitting position. You'll see them sitting on the sides of the road like this, and it's really great for your spine. It's very good for your digestive system, and also very good for the bowel. This is the reason why they squat on toilets as well. It's a very easy passageway for feces to remove from the body. You could bring your arms into prayer. We'll sit here just for a moment. You're probably thinking, when is she going to shut up, because I really want to get out of this pose very, very quickly. Some people love it. Other people absolutely put it on the bottom of their list. We'll take a twist with this one. Leave your left hand to anchor down towards the floor. Open the right arm up. Watch that this right leg doesn't collapse in. There's this rotation that goes with it. Bring the right hand back down on towards the floor. Allow the left arm to go up, and as we do that, right arm is working into the right leg as we again rotate and we open upwards towards the ceiling. Malasana, twisted Malasana. Breathe out, bringing those two hands back onto the floor, and you can come off. Yay, you say. Pop the blocks. You're eventually going to put these blocks, we'll go right towards the front edge of the mat, just because we won't need them immediately. The strap's going to return. You'll need to make it a little narrower. As we stay here, it'll come up into the above the elbow joint. You hear me say to you, don't put your strap ever on a joint. So you don't put it around the knees, and therefore you don't put it around the elbows. It's above elbows. It's a little narrow for me. It's above the elbows because there's more power there. You'll only know it's the right distance. It's only shoulder apart when you get your hands down to the floor. When I look at this, when it's up, it looks wide, but yes, nice. Those hands must be underneath the shoulders. Otherwise, the grip will be way too, the alignment will be way too narrow. It will cause havoc with your shoulders. This is a super duper easy one. You know it. It's pressing the arms out into the strap. This will activate the shoulders. It'll also allow you, if you can from here, imagine that you can tuck your armpits in to your body. So rather than letting your armpits spray out away from your body, imagine you can turn your arms in and tuck your armpits up and into your body. The hands would do the opposite. This is what I call jam jar hands. Hands turn into the center of the mat. Okay, let's maybe go there first. Hands turn into the center of the mat. They actually aren't moving. The arms are moving. And then keep that, but then take your upper arms and turn them into the mat. Okay. All right, we're good. Cat, exhale. Don't lose those arms. Keep pressing out into the strap. Inhale. Come up, chin up, tail up. Good. Exhale. Inhale. Then breathe out. Keep that tension on the strap. You'll know you haven't, because it's going to end up down near your wrists. Cat, exhale. Cow pose, inhale. One more. Here's where you'll find neutral, or where you'll find a tabletop position. Our toes get to turn under as we lift up, unfold, and press back into down dog. All right. Now your head can navigate or wriggle through the strap. The arms are continually pressing outwards. Revisit, shall I say, your checklist for down dog. And that would be, your hands are pressing forward to the front of the mat so that you're stretching your mat, making it longer. Jam jar hands. The hands are turning outwards. The upper arms are tucking inwards. The head is heavy, the spine lengthens back to the wall behind us. Heels anchor down to the floor, that calf and Achilles stretch. Keep pressing the arms out into the strap. Enjoy the ride. We all know that once we've got these arms actively working into the strap, that it takes a lot of the emphasis off the arms. And many people will say to me that they feel as though their arms sit a little nicer into the shoulder socket, and that the pose seems more effortless. They could stay here for longer because of all the arm muscles working. Okay? Not just the hands, not just the shoulders. Keep pressing those arms into the strap. Now we're going to transition, keeping the arms as is, into plank, doing the same thing, pressing outwards. Cue yourself for your plank pose. That's belly pulling up and in, as armpits pulling in and away from the floor. Neck soft, backs of the legs are drawing up towards the ceiling. Keep that press in the arms. Remember the idea of the arms being more active, so therefore the wrists are less on. Now if I hold you here for way too long, you know who's the boss. You decide. Exhale, come back into that down dog. Again, just navigate if you need to find a little notch in between a little hollow between those two sides of the strap, pushing the strap, the mat away again, arms going out into the strap, heels heavy. Bring the right foot more into the center of the mat. I'm going to find us into three-legged down dog. It's a bit easier if I just realign that leg, find three-legged down dog. Don't forget about your arms, and allow yourself just to continue to connect in with your breathing. Now this could be done on hands and knees, definitely. Let's transition into plank from here. Up, back. Can you do it as a single leg? And if not, go into your 2 feet onto the floor. Watch then you twist into the pelvis. And again, that idea of strong, powerful, and more arms, less hands, more belly. And breathe out back into your three-legged down dog. Let's switch sides. Your left will go where your right was. You're ready to go with that three-legged down dog. Right leg will lead you.
hang in that three-legged version for a moment or two. Come through the front here now. Single leg. Hips don't twist, belly pulls up and in. A three-legged plank now. Good, good, good. Back to three-legged down dog. 2 feet return back into our mat. Return the left leg into three-legged down dog. And this time when we find plank, keep those arms pressing out into the strap. Your left knee will pull towards your left elbow. Hold this. And breathe out, three-legged down dog. Keep the arms into that strap. As we pull into plank, left knee, right elbow. Cut it across. Hold it. Back to three-legged down dog. Feet back onto our mat. Replace the left foot where that right one was. Center it up. Right leg will lead you. Feel that strength still in the arms, not in the hands. Engage the shoulders, draw them down the back a little more. Same knee, same elbow. Hold it. Find it back there. Across. Hold it. Send it back. Find the 2 feet down onto the mat. Release the feet hip distance apart. Draw your knees down towards the floor. Release the hands out of the strap. Oh, feel how those arms had to work. Okay. We are going to, not too much more of it, but I want you to see what it's like to do down dog with the blocks. I suggest putting the blocks up against, if you can, don't worry if you can't, but up against a wall. Means they've got nowhere to go. It doesn't matter if you haven't got one. Make an L shape out of your hands and let that go here around the blocks. What it does is so these guys are making sure that I'm shoulder width apart, yeah. Okay. Knees under hips. Good. And then breathe out, push up and press back. Feel the shoulders again engage a little more into the scapula, so the femur bone, the humerus starts to plug itself into the shoulder socket a little more snugly. Good. Stay with it. Thumbs pressing into the block. Hands are equally pressing down into the floor. Jam jar hands. Armpits, they get to tuck under. Release and come back down. Change. Blocks in a little bit more now. Right, this time, the hands go on the blocks. Shoulder width apart. Try it this time around. A little more height can mean for some people more stability in the shoulders. And we're all really different. We've all got these very, very different shoulders. Some are super mobile, some only let arms go so far, some of us have had little tears, frozen shoulders, etc., etc. And all of those little niggles or indifferences that we have leave scar tissue, and all of that can lead to a variance in our ranges and our abilities to stay in places. Come into plank from here. Good. Now here's a tricky one. Can we go halfway and hold our chest off that floor? No, you're not going to like me. Good. Breathe out, push up. Push, 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 push with all of your might. And then return back into down dog. Right, hang into down dog. That's your rest. That's not a rest, is it? No, we're going to do it one more time if you can. Inhale, plank. Now you might find that plank on knees is perfect for you, and I'm happy for you to find the place where your body feels like it's working, but it's not, it's not straining. Can we do that little Chaturanga Dandasana? Control, see how it brings those arms in nice and snug? We're here. This is much better for those shoulders than normal. Good, can we press back up? Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah, and drop. Here's your rest. Hi, child. You didn't think you had to work tonight, did you? Easy peasy class. Strap and blocks. How hard could it be? It's nice because they help you stay in alignment, and that's one of the reasons for using blocks, about maintaining the integrity and the honesty, the authenticity of a pose. Nowhere to hide. And we use these props. This is a nice way to get out of those shoulders. Come on in, and we're going to try this one from here into a standing pose. We do need our, actually you know what, we need our block and we need our strap. Let's bring, it should almost be the right spot for us. One block, one strap. Make sure I'm in your view. One block here between the knees. That should sort of bring us into hip distance apart position. Okay. Squeeze the block in between the legs. Fire up the inner groin. As we find easy chair, go into the squat. Drive these arms up and press the arms outwards into the strap, but press the knees into the block. Good. So this, for me, is so much better for my arms. You might, I don't know if you ever look at what my arms look like when I do any of my high arms, my rotator, like my injured side, that arm just doesn't straighten. It wants to straighten and it can, but it doesn't have the ability anymore to stay fully straight. It collapses, which was all part of its rehab. It was doing that then. So I look like I've got one sort of dodgy bent arm, not for the want of it not being there, but now it has no choice. It's setting itself into the strap, and this is a much more, what should I say, precise way of doing your easy chair. Your arms are here. Can you notice that as you're pressing into them, they can't, it's really hard to pull them back behind the ears because they're engaged into the scapula. Good, come on up. Good, just bring the hands into the hearts, and can you feel how much the arms have to work? I think we can probably try one more. Let's go. Out with the arms. Press a little firmer into your block now. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Good. Shoulders are down past those ears. Pull them down. Good. And as they go down further, keep pressing outwards. Reach the arms long. Glue the legs into that block. Come on up. Good. Arms down. That's hard. All right. Block done. Gone. All right. You can keep this, but maybe you could make it just a fraction smaller. Strap or loop, shall I say. Balance on the left foot. Put it on the right. Over the, I'm going to say like over the foot, so under the arch. We're going to carry it with us over the shoulder. It's going to bring you into, to on my side. Make sure I've got enough room at the back here. Heel to bottom. Keep pulling. Remember when I was away and we were doing, last week we were doing bow, and I said to you, it's like you got some big braces on over your shoulders. Okay. Pull it up. And guess what? You don't have to struggle to try and find it below, like around out the back there. Oh, I'm struggling with this one. Hope you're doing a better job than I am. Goodness me. So, in saying that, you can imagine it'll be a little bit easier to go into bow pose. I'm going to loosen the strap. I'm going to take it up a little higher. I'm going to bring it out in front. A little soft knee is going to make this a bit easier. But can you see how much more control we have on that back right leg by having the helpful, handy hold of this strap here. Ease back, okay? Bring it around, it's gonna come out through the front here. Still got it. If you need some help this, hold on to your wall or whatever you might have. If you're doing it with someone else, if they're more stable, hold on to them. All right, here's your hamstring stretch now. Now I can get the leg high. I might not be able to do that if I didn't have this strap. Okay, drop the right hip down to the floor, press out through the right heel. Glide it slowly out to your right. Don't let the body twist. You can counter pose with this left arm if you want to. You can sort of find a little bit of support out here to the left. Bring the leg slowly back in. Ease the leg down. Oh, easy. Okay, left leg. Now we get to find our strap over our back, our braces. Balance on that right foot. In it draws. Draw that strap in. The start of the stretch requires our two thighs to stay parallel to each other. So don't let the left knee poke forward. Pull it nice and tight. Gaze still and steady. And just take a page out of my own book. My eyes were wandering everywhere. And hold on, definitely. Hold on to something out here on the right. You could even stay here and do that little counterbalance number. As we go into dancer, the right arm could rise, and you might be very happy at leaving it at that. Or as we come here to dancer, lift the left arm a little higher to try and pull the left leg up towards the ceiling. Again, remember, perhaps a softness to this right leg, just so you don't overload the hamstrings. Ease slowly back down. It comes through the front, remember? Oh, she's lost a lip. Right hand counterbalances us out to the side. Right hand. Left hip draws down towards the floor, so we don't want to skew those hips. Heel reaches out. Ease the leg out to the side. Out she goes. Good. Ease the leg slowly back in. Down it goes. Awesome. Alrighty. So there's a little bit of that strap. We can gently pop that out towards the side, and I'm going to finish this with one. I'm wondering if you've wondered if we're ever going to get to this one. I'm doing it last because I don't want to ruin the whole class on us. If you have a wall, get close. Block goes into the heels. We wriggle in parallel. Thighs are parallel towards this wall. This is camel. You could even bring that second block on, particularly if when you come back. So the idea here, again, the whole idea of using blocks to keep us honest, the hips stay flush into this wall. They don't move away. So this is what often happens in camel. We try and hinge from the kneecaps rather than going into a back extension. So this is this curly, curvy back. Okay. Now the hands can sit here into this lumbar as we go back. Some people might be, you know what, I'm happy to put my hands onto this block out the back. Some people will go back into like maybe that one block. As long as the hips don't leave the wall, thighs are pressing into the wall, your heels are squeezing inwards to the block. Shoulder blades draw together so that we've got nice width here across the chest, across the collarbones. When you want to come out, take a little rest. For some people, that's like, oh, thank goodness. But we did stretch those quads in dancer, okay, and in just that heel to bottom. They're a little,
more, shall I say, released than if we were just to dive into this. Hence the reason why I chose to do it, also to do it last. Let's give it one more shot. Okay, thighs are in. Okay, there's no gap between the wall, my knees or my thighs. I'm squeezing into the block. I'm going inwards here. Hands again, as I said, could rest as the lumbar. You could extend the head back and open up through the throat and the neck. We gave it all those lovely stretches a little earlier on. You could bring the hands back. Some people might even be able to go as far as the heels. Good. Curl it back up. Take a seat or get rid of the block altogether. We're from the wall, we're off the wall, and we're back down. Now, we have done all of the hard yards that we need to do. It's time to go into about 2 or 3 minutes of rest or Shavasana. Options. Shavasana with a bolster. You could do legs up the wall. You could do supported bridge, inclined cobbler's pose or inclined butterfly pose. Where do you feel comfortable resting these last few moments, letting the body just take on, absorb what we've just done and basically reboot itself. We're restoring the body here. So any restorative pose, the body will welcome. Just noticing the body softening even more. Noticing that it doesn't need to hold on whatever pose that you're restoring in. The body just gets to relax into it. No hold, no grip. Just pure relax. Now if you've got any kind of, say, elevation or propping that you might be doing, if you're like me, I'll be slowly easing this block out from underneath me, but maybe if you have legs up the wall, you could draw knees to chest or
My people on their incline might start to roll over to one side as we begin to prepare to unravel from where we are and find a side lying position. Again, your choice of whatever side you feel comfortable with. Use your hands to find a very slow ease up into your sitting. And once we come up into sitting, we'll bring our hands to the prayer, the heart center. It's here that we get to close class, we get to finish class as we honour our practice. We show gratitude with namaste. Namaste. Strap, block, tick, and done. Alrighty, I'm thinking that in our next class, which is Wednesday, next week, it's the 1st of July, it's our first class of the month, is restorative. It's that time of the year. We really want to close in, we really want to nurture ourselves and give ourselves lots of love and warmth and attention. I think that restorative is a really beautiful practice to do in our colder months. So in saying that, I will post it on this page, but in saying that, start to collect your things, your blocks, your bolsters, your props, blankies or whatever that you might need to be able to really indulge in this. So have a beautiful evening. Thursday is your day off, so you might find something on our previous classes to watch, and Friday will be the next time I join you for our meditation, Friday morning meditation. Take care, have a beautiful rest of your evening, and see you very soon